Deputy Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shri Rajendra Shukla ji, the raison d'etre for us all coming together on this wonderful day. Seated on the dais, the evangelist, the innovator, the dreamer, someone who has shared a very long relationship with my family, Shri Hari Mohan Gupta Sahib. Seated on the dais, former Chief Minister of my state, Adarniya Raj Sahib, former Minister in Government of India, someone who's always had passion for Madhya Pradesh, Adarniya Suresh Pachauri Sahib, members of the Cabinet in the Madhya Pradesh government, Tulsi Silawat ji, Govind Rajput ji, Harjinder Kang Sahib, Carla Howard, Chair of the Advisory Board of Governors, Tim Haynes, Member of the Advisory Board of Governors, the young entrepreneur that is trying to translate not only the dreams of his father, but the dreams of millions of young people across the length and breadth of our country, Abhishek Mohan Gupta ji, Rakesh Mehra ji, Vice Chairman of the Jagran Social Welfare Society, and someone who in our lives we've always looked up to when we were children, feared the institutionalization of that title, but also respected it. The title of headmaster and founding headmaster of Shrewsbury International School of India, Dominic Tomalin. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen present on this historic occasion in Bhopal, an occasion that is historic not only for Bhopal, not only for my state, but I believe an occasion that is historic in many aspects for both India and the United Kingdom. Welcome to all of you on this prestigious occasion. There are moments in time when history folds into the present. And when history folds into the present, it is the significance that something important is beginning. Today is one of such days, ladies and gentlemen, when history has folded into the present. A 473-year-old flame now think about that. 473-year-old flame that once lit the hills of Shropshire, today is bringing new life into the heart of India, into Bhopal and Madhya Pradesh. The name of that institution is Shrewsbury. founded many centuries ago. But today, that same name, however, with a different accent and under a different sky, is taking its rightful place in India, ladies and gentlemen. I was discussing with Hari Mohan ji the modern innovations that this institution will bring. But long before the first digital smart boards entered our lexicon as public servants, as educationists, this institution taught a young boy, whose name was Charles Darwin. Taught him how to observe. Taught him how to question. And most importantly, taught him how to wonder. That young boy said, and I quote, "I boarded at this school so that I had the great advantage of living the life of a true schoolboy," unquote. That true schoolboy then, ladies and gentlemen, went into the wilds of the Galapagos. And from the wilds of the Galapagos came up with a theory that changed humankind forever. The theory of the survival of the fittest. And I thought to myself before coming here, Hari Mohan ji, what better place to create the fittest minds for the future, not only for India, but for the globe, than Shrewsbury School in India, ladies and gentlemen. This is an institution that has produced many icons. It has produced prime ministers. It has produced poets. It has produced parliamentarians. It has produced pioneers in the UK. But as I entered this campus, the intransient and intangible aura that one experiences, धरती की जो पुकार होती है, धरती की जो श्रृंगार होती है, और उस धरती की क्षमता का एक अनुभव एक कैंपस में आने पे हर एक व्यक्ति को होता है. And I have that confidence that when, over the next 10 days, the future of India will enter the hallowed portals of this institution, allowed wide-eyed girl from Bhopal, comes in with a desire to learn. And when she graduates from here, a new leader with a vision, not only for India, but for the world, will be born from here, who will etch her name in the annals of history like the old Salopian Charles Darwin did 400 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. But today we are standing in an environment of an institution that has been built ground up. Whilst we witness history, we take pleasure in what meets our eye. But the person who sowed the seeds of this dream today is present on this stage. And enough cannot be said of Hari Mohan Ji, who has translated his dream into reality, which is before us today, ladies and gentlemen. He and his son Abhishek have toiled day and night over the last 5 years, made multiple visits to Shrewsbury. I was discussing with him while we were seated here, a perchance meeting during the days of COVID on a flight from Delhi to Mumbai with the principal of Shrewsbury in the UK. That perchance meeting led to the lighting of a flame through a conversation on the topic of education, a topic that is very close to the heart of Hari Mohan Ji. And that conversation led to the seeding of a new plant which has taken 5 years of sweat, toil, and hard work to become a reality in front of us today. So a loud round of applause for Hari Mohan Ji and Abhishek and the Jagran Social Welfare Society, ladies and gentlemen. "30 years of pursuing the cause of education. Multiple schools, universities, environments for education for the less privileged. This is something that has always been a very, very important part of the essence of the Jagran family. It is a flame that the Jagran family have carried with great pride and aplomb from generations to come. And I am confident that this torch, as it gets passed on, will only light up not only parts of India, but part of the world to come through the Jagran Social Welfare Society that has been pioneering behind this act of creating this institution. And this partnership that we see today on this stage, this partnership has really shown, ladies and gentlemen, that actually we have come full circle. The theory of residential learning is not a new thought to India. Carla, Tim, and Dominique, I want to tell all three of you that the concept of residential learning has been something that has been part of the DNA of India for thousands of years, from the Gurukuls in the forests in the time of the Upanishads to the first residential university in the world with the largest library in the world that was in Nalanda, ladies and gentlemen, on Indian soil. And therefore, what the three of you have done today, along with Harimohan ji and Abhishek ji, is really reawakened that civilizational aspect of India, the concept of residential learning, which has been reawakened by this institution within our country. Swami Vivekananda once said, and I quote, "Without the personal life of a teacher, there is no education," unquote. And that very same spirit of both living and learning, side by side, is what is the essence of a residential type of learning institution. And some of us that have been through the grind, such as those seated on the dais, Rasa, myself, understand the true metal that a boarding school environment harnesses in every single individual as he or she walks through that institution. But the key question in front of us today, not only in India but across the world, as educationists, as parents, and as citizens, the key question is, what kind of future are we preparing our children for? And the fact of the matter today, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are at an intersection in history where we are looking at a future that we do not know. Realities that we cannot fully comprehend. Because the world is moving at breakneck speed. And therefore our textbooks, our policies, our understanding of what that future is, keeps evolving not year by year, not month by month, not day by day, but by minute by minute. And therefore, in this environment that is transformed by technologies which are not yet invented, jobs not yet conceived, problems not yet visible, it is important and paramount that we instill in our children not the capability of what to think, but the capability of how to think. And that is the key distinguishing factor. Because I believe that there is always this argument between educationists that are children vessels to be filled with facts, or are they souls to be stretched with perception? I firmly believe in the latter and not the former. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, there are 4 very important tenets that each institution must follow. The first is to impart education, that education which goes beyond utility. And the fact of the matter is that Aristotle once said, and I quote, "Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all, unquote. And therefore, education, knowledge by itself is not good enough. We must not only offer knowledge, we must offer dignity for every student and for every voice. The second is the illusion of uniformity. Today, when we go around institutions, there is a very stereotyped mentality. You will see rows of desks, pangs of silence as all look towards the teacher, echoes of rote learning, and one-size-fits-all teaching. Well, what is required today is the spark of curiosity. For children to be able to ask in a space the question why. For children to be able to ask in a space with the courage, what if? And therefore, what is important is that these are the tenets that we need to instill in the generation to come. The third fact that we have to be abreast with is that we are dealing with a new generation. This is the Gen Z. This is the Gen Alpha. A Gen Z and a Gen Alpha that think differently. They process the world differently. They lead differently. They've grown up in an age which is hyper-connected, a very fast-changing world. They are much more sharper, much more aware, much more emotionally attuned than we can ever think. And a great example of that, as I was discussing with Hari Mohan ji on the dais, is what happened during COVID. We shrunk their environments to 14-inch TV screens. But even within that environment for 3 years, our children adapted. Charles Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. Our children grew, and those children today are leading the world in the days to come. The fourth tenet, which is extremely important, is the concept of oscillating goals and measures for education. Now, I'll give you a quick example. If we tell our children to research on the importance of the rivers Narmada and Brahmaputra, you will see our children do what just now Rasa and I were doing on the dais. He went on to Google, I went on to ChatGPT. Punched in a couple of keynotes, and out popped the answer. But the key question is that will they understand from that answer what those culturally, those rivers mean to us as Indians? The importance of those rivers to our DNA, to our past history, to our present, and to our future. And therefore, in this world of overflowing information, there is an information overload, an information overflow. And in this world of information overflow and overload, there is no scarcity of knowledge. Knowledge is on Abhishek's phone, which he's typing into right now. There's no scarcity of knowledge. If there is scarcity, ladies and gentlemen, that scarcity is of wisdom. That scarcity is of curiosity. That scarcity is of judgment. That scarcity is of the ability to be able to navigate life. And therefore, the purpose of educational institutions like this is not to turn mirrors into reflections. The purpose of educational institutions like Shrewsbury is to turn education into windows to the world for every single student that comes into this institution. And therefore today, the challenge before us, in many ways, over the next decade, you'll probably have more graduates than you've had in the last century. Competition is going to be at its highest zenith. As Sir Ken Robertson said once, the British author, we're going through what is called academic inflation. An environment where today the BA has become the new high school. The MA has become the new BA. And the PhD has become the new MA, B. And therefore, in this environment, it is important to be able to define what it means to educate. And to me, what it means to educate is to be able to give every child both the confidence to try and the resilience to fail. The meaning of education is not only to build a life, but to be able to build meaning into that life. The cause of education is not only to be able to ask the question, how do I succeed? But is to be able to ask the question, how do I serve? And therefore, I believe that in this environment that Shrewsbury represents, you will have both the brilliance of a global school and the heartbeat of over 1 billion citizens of this country enshrined into one to produce quality education for the future. But mind you, this is an institution that doesn't concentrate only on academic excellence. This is an institution where arts are not relegated to the margins, but are core to the periphery. Whether we look at music, arts, or dramatics, this tie-up with Trinity College of London will provide a wonderful level playing field for our stars to be able to shine in this environment. And this 150-acre landscape, which is a dream for every sportsman and sportswoman. The capabilities that you have here, and I was astounded when I did a little bit of research preparing for this address. You've got scuba diving here. You've got shooting here, indoor rowing, fencing. In the days to come, what I would aspire for Shrewsbury to do is to produce the next Olympic stars for India from this institution. I thought of what this institution represents for us today as global citizens. In many ways, it's a union of two civilizations, a union of two people. And I thought of a metaphor which I will place in front of you. This institution, ladies and gentlemen, represents a flow of learning and life that runs as deep as the rivers that define our nations. From the river Severn that winds through Shrewsbury in the UK, to the sacred river Ganga that nourishes our Indian soil, A shared long current of holistic education now connects these two great geographies. And just as rivers carve out land, so do co-curriculars shape the character of young minds. No wonder then that this vibrant life beyond the classroom life at Shrewsbury is often called, quote unquote, the second classroom. And where better to house this center of learning than a land which has always espoused the pursuit of knowledge, not as a means of learning alone, but the very purpose of existence. With the visionary new education policy unveiled by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, we believe that India will emerge as a global knowledge superpower in the days to come, where our Indian institutions will touch long-distance shores, and foreign institutions will also come to our land. When Prime Minister Modi visited the United Kingdom last month, he said, and I quote, "Education is the living bridge between our two nations," unquote. A bridge today that is strengthened by this joint academic venture, capability of digital knowledge extension. And what better place to house this than Bhopal? Bhopal, for time immemorial, has been a confluence of tradition and transformation. The city of Raja Bhoj, a ruler who not only built a modern environment, but along with that modern environment, he was known as a scholar's king. He himself has authored 84 seminal works from areas as diverse as astronomy, medicine, philosophy, linguistics. And therefore today, whilst you establish this institution in what is called our city of lakes, we are not only creating a city that is filled, an educational institution that is filled with a beautiful environment of water, but is also one that is filled with wisdom. 2030, ladies and gentlemen, will produce a demographic dividend for India. 70% of our population is below the age of 35. We're talking about 1 billion people. But that demographic dividend must be housed with true values, true education, true morals. And that is the job of an educational institution. An educational institution where pioneers will walk through this corridor and will graduate with just not curriculum, but will graduate along with curriculum with character. And therefore, they will carry in their hearts the essence of the school and the motto, which is, if it's all right within, trouble not. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the motto of Shrewsbury, where true greatness begins from within. On this day, which is a historic landmark, the 8th of August, a day that will be enshrined in history, where a new voyage begins, from the one that Charles Darwin and Swami Vivekananda and Nalanda espoused, to the new charter that will be bridged by this institution. I congratulate Hari Mohan ji, his full team, and the management of Shrewsbury. All the very best. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much, sir, for inspiring all of us. Let us move ahead. The ties between India and US have always been enriched by shared educational values. And now, I would